Hello, Curious, and welcome back. To some, a lifetime of fame sounds like a great thing, as it will surely not only generate a nice income, but also some very famous names that you could potentially call friends. Though reality is much different, as it was proven by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, who in 2004 had decided to retire from acting, and since then the two women had kept their lives as private as they physically could, which is all the more surprising when recently, as if out of the blue, the famous twins gave a rare interview to ID about their luxury fashion brand, The Row. And what did the sisters have to say in the interview? How did their fashion brand start? And why did they not want to be the face of it? And which celebrities have favored the brand? And how differently from other high-profile brands have these two sisters worked with and with The Row? Well, you better stay with us to find out what the sisters had said in the interview, which had surprised many fans. But before we continue, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit the bell button, and subscribe to our channel. When it comes to the Olsen twins, even since they retired from acting in 2004, they had kept their private lives just that, very private. So private that the only time we heard about the lives of the sisters was thanks to Mary-Kate's relationship, marriage, and subsequent divorce from Olivier Sarkozy, half-brother of the former French president Nicolas Sarkozy, and one that was finalized in January of this year. However, if you want to know more about Olsen and Sarkozy's relationship, you can do so by clicking on the link above. But for now, make sure you stay with us, and keep in to themselves was something that they had been good at, and so fans were very excited to find out that they had recently done an interview. So without further ado, let's get into this and see what the world's most famous twins had to say. As we mentioned, and as did many publications that had reported on this interview, this is rare, so from that alone you can imagine they do not do them often, and it is something that the sisters have commented on themselves. And before the interview had even started, Mary-Kate had joined the journalists that they're a bit out of practice. But when it comes to how the sisters carry out their lives, they are much different than other celebrities. They do not have social media, and according to the publication, they don't even shop online. But where their clothes are concerned, while almost every fashion house has adapted the see now, buy now style of fast fashion and thus opened the floodgates to it, the twins had spent their adult lives doing the complete opposite. But how did their journey start? Well, it was all the way back in 2006 with a simple white t-shirt, and that year, the height of what was some might call, Hollywood's trashiest and fashion's blingiest logomania phases. And then a label had sprung up a new fashion in New York with a slouchy silken tee that took creators a year and a half to perfect. It had a single French seam running down their back, and it was perfectly designed to prevent awkward bunching and rippling. And yes, we know what you're thinking, it's just a t-shirt. But while to some of the simpler the garments, the more noticeable its flaws was to this highly praised white T-top that was seen as an existential mediation on discipline, rigor, and the eternal quest for perfection. Though when it first appeared on sale, shoppers at Barney would have found it difficult to find the names of the shirt's designers. And the label, well, technically there wasn't one, and instead a tag on the back, and there was just a delicate gold chain without a name or label. But when did this brand come into existence? Mary-Kate and Ashley, the famous sisters who need no introduction, started The Row at the age of 18 while studying at New York University. Their brand name has been named after Savile Row, which is a road in Mayfair in England's capital, which is home to some of the world's best bespoke tailoring companies. And speaking with ID about their life plans to start the brand, Ashley, she said that she doesn't know how conscious they were of what they were actually doing at the time. And we had just moved to New York. We were 18 years old, and I think that we did know that what we wanted to do was to take the time and take a break from what we were previously doing and to explore into things that interested us and explore what life has to offer. And of course, with her sister chiming in to add that they meant that creatively. While prior coming to New York City, they had made a somewhat of a mega brand of themselves in Hollywood, having first appeared on TV screens just at the age of 9 months old and eventually growing into designers of colossal mass-market clothing line before they were even teenagers. And their names had probably been associated with the production of countless t-shirts over the years, and yet their brand The Row couldn't be further from that. Wanting to distance themselves from the press and the fame, the sisters weren't too keen on being the faces of their own brand, and in the interview, Ashley explained that their reason for it is that we didn't want to be in front of it. We didn't necessarily even want to let people know it was us. It was really about the product, to the point where we were like, who could we get to front this so that we don't have to? And as Mary-Kate has described them in an interview, they are discreet people, as that is how they were raised, and as we said before, they are tight-lipped about their private lives and their upbringing, which is why the interview was mainly focused on the row. And as the publication added, it was the beginning of their adult lives, and the women who are now in their mid-30s are celebrating a decade and a half of business with their brand. And this is not bad for someone who the fashion industry was quick to write off in the beginning and just see them as another celebrity line. Speaking of them working as designers, Mary-Kate had said, "I think we're very much perfectionists and work hard, and we've always been hard workers." And while the sisters who had allegedly become millionaires before their 10th birthday say that their parents made sure that they had somewhat of a normal upbringing as well, and that they don't dive much into the specifics, but Mary-Kate had also once said that she wouldn't wish my upbringing upon anybody, which over the years had led to some speculate as to whether something that the sisters don't want to talk about, or it was something in their past. But for the most part, it doesn't take a psychologist to surprise us that spending an entire childhood in the public eye has resulted in an adulthood defined by regimental boundaries. When talking to their clothing range, they said that the row is protective, discreet, and modest, which is why some of the world's biggest celebrities have all started wearing it. And those famous ladies include Bella and Gigi Hadid, Kendall Jenner, and Hailey Bieber, to name just a few. Gigi had spoken with ID for the article on Olsen Twins and spoke about their fashion line, and she said, "I guess they're aware of it, but whether or not they are, it seems that's what they've designed for. And it's very liberating when you are one of the most photographed people in the world, including them, to be like, this can make me look chic and feel protected. And it makes me not have to deal with questioning." They've really been inspirational for me in terms of not going on with what's expected with the quick dollar or something that's easy. And I love that if you walked into the store, you wouldn't necessarily know that Mary-Kate and Ashley were involved, but you know that they are of the highest quality and designed beautifully. Though later on, talking about fashion, Mary-Kate had gone on to say that at the beginning, Ashley and I had been working in the fashion mass market, so we had a pretty good idea of what sells and what doesn't. And this could go for both the knowledge of the industry as well as what is comfortable and what looks good when you're out and about and constantly being hounded by the paparazzi. And when it came to presenting their own clothing line, the twins did things their own way. So back in 2010, the row held its first show at the New York Fashion Week. The next season, however, they canceled their show at the last minute due to their samples having arrived late, and instead they opted to hold an intimate salon presentation in Paris. And that was the start of their unconventional presentations for the brand. Well, unconventional for the world of fashion. And Ashley had talked about how after the first show, she remembered walking away from it and thinking, "I can't do this again." So they decided to explore presenting their collections in more intimate environments, and she highlighted that it meant more work for them, having to do 3 shows instead of 1, but that it works better for them. While many of you will know that the twins started their acting career on the sitcom Full House, where they both played the role of Michelle Tanner, and changing during filming due to laws in place which dictated the time a child actor is allowed to work on the set. And a reboot of the sitcom was announced a few years back with 5 seasons and being titled Fuller House, but since the twins had quit acting for good, they were not part of the cast that had returned to the show. However, they had still maintained relationships with other cast members. It's surely not surprising seeing that they had grown up alongside those people in their early years. And as proof that they still keep in touch with their past co-stars is Bob Saget's podcast interview that he did in February as per E! News, where he said that they still visit when they can. Ashley and Mary-Kate, I love it so much. I mean, when I'm in New York or when they're here, when we can, we see each other. So curious, tell me, what are your thoughts about the things that the twins had said? Are you surprised that they had given this interview? Do you own any items from their clothing line? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time!